The baby isn't yours, but you have to raise him. It'll be your blessing, my girlfriend said proudly. So I played along, acted supportive, and the next morning made her homeless, exposed her affair, and left her wondering how I vanished so fast. Hey Reddit, not really sure where to start with this one. Let's just say my girlfriend dropped a confession that turned my whole life sideways, and instead of yelling or begging, I decided to handle it in my own quiet way. What followed was probably the calmest chaos I've ever caused. If you asked me a month ago, I would have said my life was fine. Not exciting, not wild, just stable. Trevor, 28 male. I got a decent job managing a warehouse team, a gym habit, and a girlfriend I thought I'd marry someday. Victoria, 26 female, and I had been living together for 2 years in a nice two-bedroom apartment downtown. We split bills, cooked together sometimes, and talked about our future like it was already written. I honestly believed we were solid. Last Tuesday started like any other day. Work, gym, home. I was sweaty, tired, and halfway through a protein shake when I unlocked our apartment door. She was sitting on the couch, legs crossed, phone face down beside her, staring at the blank TV. The heater was on, but the room felt cold. Hey, I said, tossing my gym bag down. You okay? She didn't even look at me, just muttered, we need to talk. Those 4 words hit like a warning siren. I sat down across from her, my stomach tightening. All right, what's going on? She took a deep breath, eyes fixed somewhere above my shoulder. I'm pregnant. For a split second, I froze. Pregnant. The word echoed in my head. My first thought, shock. Then maybe a weird mix of fear and excitement. I opened my mouth to ask something, but she kept going. It's not yours. The silence that followed was loud enough to drown out everything. My mind tried to catch up, but it was like running through mud. What? I finally managed. She finally turned her head, and her face wasn't sad or guilty. It was blank, like she was reading a weather report. The baby isn't yours, Trevor. My brain went empty for a second. I just sat there staring at her. Whose is it? Logan's, she said, like it was nothing. Logan, her ex-boyfriend from college. The same guy she told me not to worry about. The same guy she grabbed coffee with a few months ago when they caught up as friends. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. You're saying you slept with your ex, and now you're pregnant with his kid? She nodded. It happened 2 months ago. It wasn't planned. But it happened. I waited for an apology. Anything. Instead, she took a breath and added, but listen, I've been thinking about it, and I really believe this baby is meant to be. Yes, the baby isn't yours, but you have to raise him. He'll be your blessing. I blinked at her. My what? Your blessing, she repeated slowly, like I was too dumb to understand. You've always wanted a family, right? Well, this is your chance. I know it's not ideal, but maybe it's fate. Maybe you were meant to help me raise him. And I stared at her, and for a moment, I thought she was joking. But no, her face was dead serious. She really thought I was going to help raise another man's child, because it would somehow complete me. You're unbelievable, I said quietly. She frowned. Trevor, don't be dramatic. I didn't mean to hurt you, but life happens. You're strong enough to handle this. You love me, don't you? Something in me snapped, but not the loud, angry kind. The quiet kind. The kind that burns slow and cold. I stood up, paced once, then sat back down. I forced a calm smile. Yeah, sure. Whatever you want, Victoria. I'll help you raise the kid. Her shoulders relaxed instantly, like she'd just gotten confirmation that I'd stick around. I knew you'd understand, she said, reaching for my hand. I let her touch me for maybe 2 seconds before pulling away. Inside, my thoughts were already racing. She thought she had me wrapped around her finger. She thought I'd roll over, pay her bills, and play dad to Logan's kid while she pretended everything was fine. She had no idea I was already done. She started talking about baby names after that. I didn't hear half of it. My mind was elsewhere, on all the red flags I'd ignored. Like when she started dressing up more for work lunches. When she suddenly changed her phone password. I remembered all the "it's not what it looks like" moments that I'd brushed off because I didn't want to seem paranoid. She finally said, "We'll figure it out together, right?" I nodded. Yeah, we'll figure it out. What I meant was, I'll figure out how to vanish from your life so fast, you'll think I was a dream. She smiled, satisfied, and started scrolling her phone like the conversation was over. I sat there another minute, watching her pretend like she hadn't just destroyed everything. In that moment, I realized 2 things. First, Victoria wasn't sorry. She was entitled. Second, she had no idea who she was dealing with. I stood up, grabbed my gym bag, and headed toward the bedroom. I'm gonna shower, I said. Okay, she said, distracted. I paused at the doorway, looked back at her one last time, and smiled faintly. Sure, whatever you want. That was the moment I decided I was done. But I didn't let her see it. I acted calm, played the role of the supportive boyfriend, and kept my voice low and steady. If Victoria wanted peace, I'd give her peace. The kind of peace that comes right before everything around her collapses. The next few days felt like a movie I was watching from outside my own body. I woke up next to her, made coffee, nodded along when she talked about doctor appointments and baby prep. Every time she said we, I just smiled. Inside, I was listing everything I needed to cut off. Bank accounts, lease, utilities, every single tie that connected me to her. Wednesday morning, I told her I'd work late and headed straight to the bank. We had a shared savings account, $8,400, mostly saved for our Japan trip that was never going to happen. I transferred my half, $4,200, into a new personal account. I printed the transaction receipt and stored it in my glove box. Then I called my older brother Mark, who's a lawyer. He answered with his usual dry tone. You sound serious. What happened? Let's just say I need to know how to legally disappear from a shared lease, I said. There was a pause. You and Victoria? Yeah, she's pregnant, I said. But not with my kid. He walked me through the process. Since our lease was month to month, there was no long notice period. I just had to send an email to the landlord and drop the keys when I was ready. Costly for her, maybe, but for me, it meant freedom. That night, while Victoria was in the shower, I went through our shared files on her laptop. Screenshots of her messages to Logan, photos she'd hidden in random folders. I saved them all to a flash drive. She wasn't smart enough to cover her tracks. One file name caught my eye, coffeeketchup_August. I clicked it. There they were. Pictures of her with Logan at some rooftop cafe, holding hands across the table. The same day she told me she was working late. I closed the laptop, heart beating fast, but not from sadness. From focus, from control. I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was planning. Thursday, during my lunch break, I looked up Logan's social media. The guy was exactly what you'd expect. Buttoned up, mid-30s, boring face, fake smile. He was married to Jennifer, pediatric nurse, animal shelter volunteer, the kind of woman who still believed in people. They looked like a perfect couple, and that made me even angrier. I scrolled through their photos until I found a picture from their anniversary dinner. Jennifer had tagged her parents. Her dad's name stood out, Judge Raymond Blake. I leaned back in my chair, staring at that name for a second, and grinned. Well, Logan, I muttered, you really picked the wrong woman to cheat on. It was almost poetic. Victoria's just a friend had blown up her own life and tied himself to a family that could legally shred him to pieces. That night, Victoria came home with takeout, acting like we were fine. I know this is a lot, Trevor, she said softly, setting a bag of Thai food on the counter. But we can make it work. I can tell you care about me. You're being so calm. I looked at her like I was looking at a stranger. Yeah, I'm just thinking ahead, that's all. She smiled, relieved. See? I knew you were mature enough to handle this. I nodded. Sure, I'll take care of everything. That part was true. I was taking care of everything. Just not the way she thought. After dinner, she went to bed early. I stayed on the couch, scrolling on my phone, researching early lease termination laws, comparing moving truck rentals, and checking apartment listings. Every click made me feel lighter. I started packing small things first, stuff she wouldn't notice missing right away. I texted Derek, my closest friend, and asked if I could crash at his place for a while. He replied instantly, Of course. You good? Not yet, I typed back. But I will be. Friday morning, I printed a lease termination letter, signed it, and emailed our landlord. I was the primary tenant, so I offered to pay the lease break fee to end it early. He replied that if Victoria wanted to stay, she'd have to re-qualify on her own. I paid the fee and set the move-out date for the following Friday. She came into the living room in one of my shirts, rubbing her eyes. You're up early. Yeah, I said, closing my laptop. Just sorting bills and stuff. Gotta make sure we're prepared for, baby expenses. She smiled sleepily. You're amazing, Trevor. I knew you'd come around. I smiled back. Yeah, I'm really excited to help. I wasn't lying. I was excited, just not for the reason she thought. That afternoon, I drove to a print shop and ordered a small card. I wrote the message carefully, word by word. Congratulations. You're going to be a dad. Victoria's expecting. A concerned friend. I included a throwaway number on the card. I ordered a fancy gift basket online, chocolates, cider, a teddy bear, and scheduled it for same-day delivery to Logan's house. I attached it to a baby balloon, too. I even paid extra for wrapping. Victoria thought she'd outsmarted me. She had no idea I'd already pulled the plug on everything she depended on. That night, she asked if I'd sleep beside her. I said sure, then waited until she drifted off before getting up and grabbing my packed bag. I stood there for a minute, looking down at her. She was asleep, peaceful, like someone who believed they'd won. I smiled, shook my head, and whispered, "Whatever you want, Victoria," because starting tomorrow, she was on her own. By 8 a.m., I was sitting in my car in a grocery store parking lot, parked under a tree, phone in hand. I opened Facebook, found Logan's profile again, and clicked message. I didn't write a single word. I just forwarded the screenshot of Victoria's confession. "Thank you for being so understandable. Logan doesn't need to know that the baby is his." Then I hit send. No caption, no explanation, no warning, just truth. Then I blocked Victoria on every platform I could think of. Calls, texts, WhatsApp, Instagram, everything. It felt clean, silent. After that, I opened the tracking page for the gift basket order. It said, "Out for delivery." A wave of calm rolled through me. I wasn't screaming. I wasn't smashing things. I was just watching a plan unfold. Around noon, I drove to Derek's apartment. He opened the door in sweatpants, holding a mug of coffee. "You look like a man about to change his whole life," he said. "Yeah," I said. "You got a spare couch?" He moved aside. "For you?" "Always." I dropped my bags inside and finally sat down. Derek didn't ask for details, and I didn't offer any. He handed me a sandwich and let me sit in silence. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was sharp and shaking. "Is this the person who sent the gift basket to 447 Riverside Drive?" "Bingo!" "Yes," I said carefully. "Who's this?" "This is Jennifer Carter," she said. Her voice cracked on the last word. "Logan's wife. You need to tell me right now what the hell is going on." For a moment, I almost felt bad. Almost. "Mrs. Carter, I'm sorry you had to find out like that," I said. "My name is Trevor. I've been with Victoria Hollis for 2 years. Last week, she told me she's pregnant. With your husband's baby." There was a long silence on the other end. I could hear her breathing, shaky and uneven. "You're lying," she whispered. "I wish I was," I said. "I have the text she sent me. She admitted it happened 2 months ago. She said she didn't want to tell Logan because he's married, and it would destroy everything." "Send me the proof," she said, voice steadying now. I opened my messages and forwarded the screenshot. Within seconds, I saw the read notification. Another pause. Then she said, in a tone that could have frozen metal, "I'm going to destroy him." She didn't scream. She didn't sob. Her voice was cold, controlled, and terrifyingly calm. "Do what you need to do," I said quietly. "I will," she replied, and hung up. I sat there for a while, phone in my hand, staring at the blank screen. There was no satisfaction yet, just a strange stillness. Derek came out of his room. "Everything good?" I looked at him and half smiled. Logan is about to have a really bad day. That evening, I finished packing the last of my things from the car into Derek's spare room. My entire life now fit into 4 bags and a laptop case. It was weirdly freeing. No strings, no shared bills, no pretending. By 7 p.m., my phone started lighting up again. This time, blocked numbers, voicemail alerts, and texts from mutual friends. Victoria had noticed. The first voicemail was her voice, crying, "Trevor, please, we can talk about this. Don't do something stupid. You're scaring me." I deleted it. Then came another, angrier. "You're ruining everything. You think you're some kind of hero? You're childish." Deleted. By 10 p.m., there were over 20 missed calls. I put my phone on silent, leaned back on the couch, and stared at the ceiling. For the first time in days, I actually felt relaxed. The next morning, I checked Facebook. Logan's profile was gone, deleted or deactivated. Jennifer's, though, was still up, and she'd changed her profile picture. It was just her, standing by a moving truck. Caption, "New beginnings." I couldn't help but smirk. Victoria, meanwhile, sent one last desperate message through email since I'd blocked her everywhere else. "I don't know what you did, but Logan's wife called me. She's threatening me. Please call me." I read it twice, then hit delete. No reply. By that evening, I'd moved the last of my stuff into Derek's spare room and shut my old apartment key inside an envelope for the landlord. My part of that chapter was officially over. Later that night, Derek handed me a beer, stopped himself, and said, "Wait, you don't drink? Sprite?" I laughed. "Yeah, Sprite sounds right." We sat there watching basketball highlights while my phone buzzed endlessly on the table. "Not gonna answer that?" he asked. "Nope," I said, grabbing the remote. "The show's over." It really was. By that point, I'd already cut every tie. Bank, phone, lease, everything. Victoria just didn't know it yet. By the next morning, he'd confirmed in writing, my name was off the lease, and unless Victoria qualified solo, which she couldn't, the lease would end on Friday. That was all I needed to read. I sat there smirking, sipping my coffee while Derek was typing away on his laptop. What's up? He asked without looking up. Just watching Karma set its alarm clock, I said. Later that day, while I was scrolling through job emails, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I didn't answer, but the voicemail came through 30 seconds later. It was the landlord. Hey Trevor, just letting you know, your ex came by this morning, seemed confused. I told her you'd terminated the lease. She didn't take it well. I could picture the scene perfectly. Victoria standing there, acting shocked, probably telling him there must be some mistake. The same fake trembling voice she used whenever she wanted sympathy. A few hours later, my prediction came true. Derek's intercom buzzed. He glanced at me. You expecting anyone? I shook my head. He pressed the button. Yeah? Please, it's Victoria. Tell Trevor to talk to me. Please. Her voice cracked through the speaker. Derek looked at me. I just gave a small shrug. Tell her to leave, I said. He pressed the intercom again. He's not interested, Victoria. You need to go. Derek, please, he doesn't understand. Leave, Derek said firmly. Or I'm calling the cops. There was silence. Then the sound of her hand slamming the buzzer again and again before she finally stopped. We looked at each other. Derek sighed. Man, she's losing it. Yeah, I said. It's just starting. By evening, I'd blocked another number. She must have borrowed someone's phone to try again. I muted everything. Peace and quiet returned. That night, around 10 p.m., I got a Facebook message from Jennifer Carter. I confronted him. He admitted everything. Said it was one time, he was drunk, it didn't mean anything. I replied, of course he did. He thinks saying that makes it better. I don't believe him. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. She added a follow-up message seconds later. I've already contacted my lawyer. My dad's handling some things too. Logan is finished. I leaned back and stared at the screen for a second, then typed, good. He deserves whatever's coming. She didn't reply right away, just left it on read. I didn't blame her. She probably had a lot of damage control to do. The next morning, I woke up to a long, dramatic email from someone I hadn't heard from before, Victoria's mom. The subject line read, how could you? I opened it, and it was exactly what I expected. Trevor, how dare you leave my daughter when she's carrying your child? She's heartbroken and alone. You've shown your true colors. Real men don't abandon their responsibilities. I smiled, attached the screenshot of Victoria's confession, and hit reply. 10 minutes later, I got a message read notification. She never responded. By Wednesday, people at work had started whispering. You could feel it in the air. A few coworkers who followed Victoria on Instagram were already gossiping. Apparently, she'd posted some dramatic quote about betrayal and heartbreak with a picture of a sonogram. No names mentioned, but people love putting puzzles together. At lunch, my buddy Ryan sat down across from me and said, So, you and Victoria? I looked up from my sandwich. You heard something? He shrugged awkwardly. Just rumors. She's saying you left her while she's pregnant. Everyone's confused. I chuckled. Yeah, I bet she left that part out where she said the baby isn't mine. Ryan's eyebrows shot up. Wait, what? Exactly, I said. Rumors don't mean much when people don't have the full story. He sat there silent for a bit, then nodded slowly. Damn, man. That's rough. You're handling it way better than I would. I smirked. I'm not handling it. I'm finished handling it. There's a difference. By Friday, everything was moving fast. Victoria was spiraling. Mutual friends were messaging me saying she'd been crying nonstop, showing up at people's apartments, saying I'd ruined her life. One even told me she tried to get into our old place again, and the landlord had to escort her out. She apparently broke down in the hallway, screaming that she had nowhere to go. Derek stepped outside holding 2 mugs of coffee. You know she's probably calling everyone you know right now, right? Yeah, I said, taking a sip. Let her. She's running out of people to lie to. I leaned back in the chair and said quietly, she wanted me to raise another man's kid. Now she doesn't even have a couch to sleep on. Derek gave a low whistle. That's poetic justice. Yeah, I said. And the best part? I didn't even have to lift a finger. I just stopped helping her lie. He nodded slowly. So, what's next? I smiled faintly. Next. I live my life. She can figure hers out. Inside, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I didn't bother checking. I'd already decided a few things don't deserve answers. As I watched the skyline flicker, One thought kept circling my head. She built her whole world on lies, and all I did was quietly remove the foundation. For once, I didn't feel angry. I just felt done. But apparently, Victoria wasn't. The following week, I noticed people at work whispering again. Not the usual small talk. This time it felt pointed. Every time I walked into the break room, conversation stopped. One coworker, Jenna, gave me this awkward half smile before blurting out, "Hey, Victoria's been saying some things about you." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, really? What kind of things?" She hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. "That you were controlling. That you didn't let her have friends. That you'd yell at her. Stuff like that." I laughed so hard she flinched a little. Controlling? She's the one who cheated on me, got pregnant, and expected me to raise another man's kid. If that's control, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Jenna gave me a small nod. "Yeah, I figured it sounded weird. Just thought you should know." "Appreciate it," I said, grabbing my coffee. Let her talk. The louder she yells, the faster people see through her. By lunch, I'd already received a message from HR asking to schedule a quick chat. The email sounded polite but formal, never a good sign. I knew exactly who had triggered it. I walked into the HR office that afternoon. My manager, Paul, sat there looking uncomfortable, and the HR lady gave me the kind of look people use when they think they're about to handle a big problem. "Trevor," she said carefully, "we've received a complaint. It claims you emotionally mistreated a former partner who's also claiming to be pregnant with your child. She says you left her in distress." I kept my face neutral. "You mean Victoria Hollis?" They exchanged a quick glance. "Yeah," I said. "I can clear this up right now." I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots, and handed it over. Here's her message saying she's pregnant with another man's baby. The man being Logan Carter, married to someone else. You can read it yourself. The HR lady scrolled, her eyes widening a bit. Paul leaned forward, reading over her shoulder. "Well," he said finally, "that's pretty clear." I nodded. "I've got more if you need it, but I'm not getting dragged into her drama. She can cry to whoever she wants. I'm done being her cleanup crew." They apologized for the inconvenience and said they'd close the matter. I stood up, straightened my jacket, and said, "Next time she calls pretending to be the victim, maybe forward her to her ex's wife. She's better at handling lies." That shut down the gossip fast. By the next day, everyone at work had moved on to something else. Victoria must have realized her plan wasn't working, because her messages stopped coming in. That night, I got a message from Jennifer. Update: Logan's reputation at work is tanking. His company did an internal review after his personal drama hit the office. They pulled him from client-facing work and put him on unpaid leave while things settle. I texted back, "Good. I was wondering when karma would clock in." Jennifer added, "My dad's been using his connections. Every job Logan has tried to apply to since, I've made sure they hear the full story. He's not going anywhere." I smiled reading that. Jennifer wasn't the emotional wreck type. She was surgical. Quiet, controlled revenge. The kind that rearranges your whole life behind the scenes. A few days later, Logan called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Trevor," he said, voice low and furious. "You ruined my life." I leaned back in my chair. "I did. You're the one who couldn't keep your pants zipped. You didn't have to involve my wife. You could have just..." I cut him off. "Just what? Let you play house with my girlfriend while she carried your kid? Sorry, buddy. Actions have consequences." "She's divorcing me," he said. "I'm losing everything. The house, my savings, my job. You happy?" I smirked. "You sound like a man describing karma in real time." "Honestly? Yeah, I'm good." He was quiet for a few seconds. Then, through clenched teeth, he said, "You think this makes you better than me?" "Yeah," I said plainly, "because I didn't cheat on anyone. Enjoy unemployment." He started shouting something about me being vindictive, but I hung up mid-rant. I wasn't wasting breath on a man who couldn't own his own mess. That evening, I texted Jennifer again. "Just got off the phone with your soon-to-be ex. He's losing it." She replied, "Good. He deserves worse. He's been lying for years." I added, "He mentioned losing his job. That's just the start. Dad's making sure he doesn't get an easy ride in court. Fault-based divorce, financial misconduct, dissipation of marital assets, and defamation. Every angle's being covered. He's going to wish he'd never met me." I could feel her smirking behind the screen. I read her last message twice. It wasn't bitter. It was calculated. Jennifer had a power that scared men like Logan. Calm, relentless justice. A part of me almost admired it. Another part of me felt relieved. For once, I wasn't the one cleaning up a disaster. By the weekend, Logan's social circle was collapsing. His co-workers unfollowed him online, mutual friends stopped responding, and someone sent me a screenshot of him posting a long rant about toxic women who ruin good men's lives. The comments were full of people roasting him. Meanwhile, Victoria's post got more desperate. Vague quotes about betrayal, photos of her holding her stomach like she was auditioning for sympathy. The likes were dropping. People were tired of her story. Late Sunday night, I got another message from Jennifer. "Thank you for telling me the truth, even if it hurt." I stared at that message for a while, then typed, "You don't owe me thanks. You're just doing what needed to be done." She replied one last time, "Yeah, so are you." I closed my phone and leaned back in bed. Everything was unraveling exactly how it needed to. Logan was falling. Victoria was exposed. And me? I was finally free enough to stop thinking about them. 2 weeks later, I had my own place. A small but clean studio apartment across town. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. By that point, I had blocked Victoria on every possible app. But of course, that didn't stop her. She just changed tactics. It started with a mutual friend, Kayla, texting me out of nowhere. "Hey, can I ask something? Did Logan really, force himself on Victoria?" I stared at the screen for a solid minute. Then I replied, "What?" She sent a screenshot. It was Victoria's new Facebook post. Some long, dramatic paragraph written in vague emotional language. I never wanted to share this, but I need to protect my child and my peace. What happened to me wasn't love. It was manipulation. I was hurt, and then abandoned when I needed support the most. The comments section was full of people saying things like, "You're so strong," and "proud of you for speaking up." I felt my stomach twist. She was actually trying to rewrite everything. I called Kayla. "She's lying," I said immediately. Kayla sighed. "I figured, but she's really leaning into it. She's been telling people that Logan forced her into it, and that you left her because you couldn't handle her trauma." I rubbed my face. "She's unbelievable." "It's bad," Kayla continued. "Everyone's confused and she's doubling down." Sure enough, by the next day, the internet drama had spread. Another mutual friend sent me a private message. "Bro, Victoria's lost it. She's calling herself a survivor. She said you abandoned a pregnant woman recovering from trauma." I opened her latest post. She'd uploaded a black and white selfie with the caption, "You can't break a woman who's already been broken. I survived." There were hashtags, #healing, #survivor. I couldn't decide if I wanted to laugh or throw my phone. Logan, meanwhile, had gone radio silent. I assumed Jennifer's legal team told him to stay quiet. But then a few days later, I got a short message from him. "You've seen what she's saying, right? This is insane. I didn't touch her that way. She wanted it. I have proof. Welcome to the circus." I replied, "She's trying to save face. My lawyer says I can sue for defamation if it keeps spreading. Jennifer's already destroying me in court, and now Victoria's trying to bury me publicly." I didn't reply after that. Logan deserved everything coming his way, but even I could see how low Victoria had sunk. Turning a consensual affair into an assault story? That was new territory. Over the next few days, the internet turned on her. Screenshots of her old messages to Logan started circulating. Flirty texts, hotel confirmations, even one where she called him the best thing that ever happened. People started commenting under her posts, calling her a liar and manipulator. She tried fighting back. "Those were fake," she claimed in a live stream that barely 5 people watched. "Logan and Trevor are working together to ruin me." I watched a short clip someone sent me. She looked exhausted, hair messy, eyes puffy, and still somehow managed to sound arrogant. "This is what happens when you speak up," she said tearfully. "They try to silence women." I actually said, "Oh my good," out loud while watching it. She was beyond saving. Later that week, I ran into Kayla at a grocery store. She came over shaking her head. "Dude, she's burned every bridge. Everyone's done with her." "Yeah, I saw," I said. "She's finally running out of sympathy cards." "She even tried reaching out to Jennifer," Kayla said, eyes wide. "Sent her a long message apologizing, saying she was confused and didn't know what she was doing back then." I raised an eyebrow. "Jennifer respond?" Kayla smirked. "She posted a story that said, 'Apologies don't erase consequences.' That was it." I laughed. "Savage, I like her." That same night, I got another update from Jennifer herself. Logan's lawyer reached out. He's furious about the lies. He's considering suing her for defamation if she doesn't shut up. I told him to go for it. Let her taste her own medicine. She's desperate. She knows her reputation's gone. I replied, "She made her bed. Now she's trying to set it on fire and pretend she's the victim." That line stuck with me. I spent that weekend scrolling through Victoria's crumbling public image. Her follower count was dropping fast. People she'd called friends were unfollowing her in real time. One by one, her little support system vanished. By the end of that week, she'd gone full ghost on social media, deleted everything, probably realizing that no one was buying her Survivor act anymore. She had become a complete stranger. No remorse, no awareness, just endless lies stacked on more lies. And for the first time since it all started, I didn't feel angry. I didn't even feel satisfaction. Just distance. Like I was finally watching the storm fade in the rearview mirror. 7 months later, the storm tried one last time to crawl back. It was early spring when I heard the news. Victoria had given birth. A mutual friend sent me a screenshot of her hospital post. She looked exhausted but still smug, captioned, "Welcome to the world, little miracle. Logan's beautiful son." She actually tagged Logan's new account. I shook my head and muttered, "She's really still going with that story." A week later, the truth hit her harder than any karma meme ever could. Logan demanded a DNA test because apparently he sensed something sketchy. The test came back. Logan wasn't the father. The internet lit up like fireworks. Logan posted the results in an attempt to clear his name. Victoria tried deleting her accounts again, but screenshots live forever. Jennifer messaged me that same day. She sent, "It's official. He's not the father. He's suing her for defamation." I replied, "She's finished. That's checkmate." Jennifer replied, "Yeah. Now it's not just about reputation. It's about damages. She cost him his career, and he's coming for every dollar he can." She continued, "Divorce finalized last month. I moved away. He's taking out loans just to cover legal fees now. I almost feel bad." Almost. I smiled reading that. Jennifer had finally gotten her piece, while Victoria had torched the last bridge she had left. But instead of going quiet, Victoria completely lost it. She came back online, posting wild rants. "The test was rigged. Logan is the father. They're lying. They're trying to erase me and my son." She posted pictures of the baby with captions like, "He has Logan's eyes." Comment sections turned brutal. People called her delusional, a liar, a disgrace. Even her own family members started arguing with her publicly. Within a month, her parents cut her off. Someone told me her mom told a friend, "We don't even recognize her anymore." I figured that was the end of it. I was wrong. One Saturday afternoon, I heard a knock on my apartment door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was Victoria. She looked completely different. Pale, messy hair, dark circles under her eyes. She was holding a baby carrier with a tiny boy inside, wrapped in a blue blanket. "Trevor," she said softly. Her voice cracked halfway through my name. I froze for a second, then stepped outside, blocking her from coming in. "What are you doing here?" Tears welled in her eyes immediately. "Please don't shut the door." I didn't know where else to go. I stared at her. "Victoria, you shouldn't be here." She shook her head, voice trembling. "You're the only good man I ever had. Please, he needs a father. My parents won't even talk to me. Everyone's turned their back on me. You're the only one who ever cared." Her words felt rehearsed, like she'd practiced them in the mirror. But there was something desperate in her eyes, too. Real desperation, not manipulation. I looked down at the baby. He was sleeping, tiny fists clenched, completely unaware of the chaos he'd been born into. My chest tightened for a second. Not for her, but for him. That poor kid didn't ask for any of this. "Victoria," I said quietly, "I told you months ago. I'm not saving you. Not again." And she wiped her face, shaking her head. "I swear I've changed. I just need help. Please. He's innocent." "Yeah," I said, reaching into my wallet. I pulled out $200 bills and handed them to her. "This is for him. Because you're right. He's the only innocent one here." She looked at the money, then at me. "That's it?" "That's it," I said. "You brought this on yourself. I'm not the guy who fixes your mess anymore." She started crying again, her voice breaking. "Trevor, please. I don't have anyone." I took a deep breath and stepped back inside. Hand on the door. "You had people. You just lied to all of them. Don't come here again." She stood there for a moment, shoulders shaking, before whispering, "I'm sorry." I didn't respond. I just closed the door. Through the peephole, I watched her walk down the hallway, clutching the baby carrier. She didn't look back. For a minute, I just stood there, staring at the closed door, feeling nothing. Not anger, not sadness, just disgust and calm at the same time. Sometimes I think about Victoria. Not with anger, just disbelief. How far she went to protect a lie. How she burned her own world to keep a story alive that no one believed anymore. People always say time heals everything. That's not true. Truth heals everything. Time just lets it settle. I looked around my apartment one evening. Fresh paint, quiet cat, peace, and realized I wasn't bitter anymore. Just done. Free. And that felt better than revenge ever did. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.